Hi, Jim here, and you're listening to the Honest Filmmaker podcast, career advice from people in the business. This week, I'm joined by Rosa Camero. Rosa's a film producer, film distribution, and marketing consultant, and she helps filmmakers fund, sell, market, and distribute their films. Hi, Rosa. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me again. I'm so excited to be back and to share more of my knowledge here.
Yes, good point. Let's. So Rosa's been on before, and there's a really good episode called "How to Promote Your Film with a Marketing Strategy." So, if you're interested in that, I urge you to go and listen to that now. So, there's loads of really useful insights in it. So this episode, we're going to talk about packaging your film before you start looking for investors. So let me kick off, Rosa, by asking you, what are the sort of essential things you need to make this a compelling package for people to put money into your film?
We always hear we always hear investors and film distributors, and when you're looking for funds, like, have you packaged your film? Have you packaged your film? But then in the creative world, it's like, what is that? Like, do you tell me, oh, that means that I need to have a slide deck, and then you have only a slide deck, and then you have maybe a business plan, or maybe a marketing strategy, but that you don't pay attention to that. So packaging your film, it's a set of strategies, or it's like a package of strategies that you have created for your film. Like, what is the plan? Like, you have a film, or you want to produce a film. It's not even I produce a film and let's see what happens. Is This is when you in pre-production development, you need to take into account these things. It's like, okay, I have this film, who I'm gonna sell it, and how I'm gonna sell it, and what are the things that I need for them to buy from me, and the package. This is the film business plan, the marketing strategy, the marketing plan. Even if it's too far away, when or you see it that it's too far away for you to release and think about that, that's the way that you're going to sell your film. And investors and money people, they want to see how they're going to recover their money if they invest in
Mhm.
you. Also is a film distribution strategy. And then I always say the slide deck is a summary of all the things that you have already put in those documents. And
Mhm.
I guess maybe the investors will never ask you for any of that, but they will invest in your film if you know your numbers. It's like a business. If you're a founder and you have a business, investors also will ask you for your numbers. And if you don't know the numbers, then it's like, I don't want to see the film business plan, or I don't want to see the marketing plan. You don't know. So I would say that this is only an exercise for you to practice those numbers so you can share it with confidence.
Yeah, and it's also a good way of you sort of sanity checking that it all works, this film, and that you've interrogated the story, you've worked out where you're going to sell it, and that you can actually do it for the money that you've said you can do it for. So it's a good exercise for you. And like you say, I've had experiences, all different types of investors, where some of them are really interested in, when we come to them, like sizzle reels and posters, and others are really interested in numbers because they're investing, because they either want to make money or they just want to know that that money's going to go somewhere and be spent on what you've said it is going to be spent on. So just having the confidence to be able to talk about numbers without sounding unsure really helps sometimes seal the deal. um, so then what about so doing that, what filmmakers can get a bit obsessed with, I've done it myself, is that pitch deck document. And you kind of throw everything in there. So how do you put that together? What are your tips for doing a good pitch deck?
So my tip is, yes, you really need a good slide deck or a pitch deck. But that doesn't mean that you need to pour your life and all your everything on it. Is, again, the summary. If you know your numbers and you have done your strategies and your plans beforehand, then creating the slide deck is easier for you. And also, it's like a combination of it's like when the creative side and the business side, they meet in one point, and that's the intermediate point. That would be the slide deck. um I wouldn't put a lot of effort on it. Um, but again, if you have everything figured out, also that, having like a teaser poster, so having images, having like something in your head that is the essence of the film, then you can reuse those images, that poster, that how can I say, like branding of the film in your slide deck. So I am promoting, not promoting, I am producing a documentary, and it hasn't been difficult at all to do the slide deck because it has animation and we have some animatics and we have some pictures, and that's basically the slide deck.
Mm.
So I know when you are in pre-production on development is difficult, but there's a lot of inspiration out there, like
Mm.
even in Canva. I mean, I know graphic designers and creatives gonna be, no, we don't use Canva, but Canva is great, and it also has some slide decks there that you can find.
Yeah, yeah. I'd use any tool available to me, and I think it's putting that slide deck together. What I've found is once you've done one really well for a film. It almost acts as a template that you can then use on your next film, and you've kind of put the
Yes.
groundwork in. You know what all the headings are, all the important things that you need to put in there. So with your, and again, this is another thing. I'm calling it a pitch pack. You're calling it a slide deck, and this gets a bit confusing. So what would you have? You'd have your poster, you'd have a synopsis of the film, you'd have what, a brief overview of money.
Yes. So normally, I always say, when you have a slide deck, don't make it long. I have
Mm.
seen creatives just put the laptop and they say, I have a slide deck and it's like 100 pages. It's like, no, 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 no. These people is busy. So 12, maximum 15 pages. And then you have to add, I might forget something, but if, I mean, you are always to, I think I have a blog in my website where I talk
Mm.
about it. So just start with a poster, or just start with a graphic of your film and the title, then the synopsis, the team that is behind. After that, you have an overview of your marketing plan. You have an overview of your financial plan, your budget, and also you have the feeling of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you also have, so I'm remembering. I do have a template, and I'm
Yeah,
I'm with you. If you have templates and they have work, don't change them. Just use them again and again and again.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
all the strategies that I use, I have templates, and I have a slide deck that also have. It's a template with around 12, 15 pages. So
yeah,
I think I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but this is kind of like the most important.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that yeah, exactly. The reason it's easy to forget stuff is, and like you say, is that's why you have a template. You have it there so you can remember. Oh, I must put that in. One of the things that's important in there might be market research. So looking at other
Yes,
films. So talk to me about
super
that. What does
important.
that mean?
Yes, thank you for mentioning it, because it's something that you have to have in your film business plan. And there's like market research, and then in the film distribution plan is called competitive. And this is the way that you go and check other films like yours. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're making a film, and probably there's already an audience out there with other film, and then you can check, and you can have an idea of how was their release, like how much money they made. And a mistake that I have seen when they do these film business plans is comparing themselves with, for example, I had a client that he had, he has a science fiction. We know that is super expensive, but
Mhm.
then he was comparing his film with a $25 million budget film,
Yeah,
and he wanted four. So you cannot compare your film with a very, very high budget when your film is not at that budget. So you really need to check what other films are in the same range as you. Because if you're selling a 4 million film with the same gross office, than 25 million, then you're really, I mean, you don't want to do that. It's too
Yeah,
dangerous.
it is. And so the places I would use for that are websites like Box Office Mojo, the numbers. IMDb Pro is a good one, isn't it, to get
Yes.
some financials off of?
Yeah, actually, for those who are independent film and maybe one using once in a while, yes, those are the, actually I use those as well.
Hmm.
It's Moyo, and that Moyo is also now it's part of IMDb Pro.
Yeah.
But there's a tool that is called, they have changed the name several times, but there's a tool that film distributors and people that is in the money in the business side of films, and they working
Hmm.
with films and seeing the income. There's a tool they use, and they have access to audiences, they have access to box office around the world. They have access to how many people attended the first weekend, the second weekend, how many weeks they were there. So you can do like a lot of analytics inside that tool.
Mm.
It is expensive. I mean, that's why I don't recommend it, but it exists. I mean, it's something
Yeah.
that is out there. And if you have a budget, just to having that information is I think around 1,000. We did that. I know it's not an easy tool to. I mean, it's not something like Zoom that you go in and then you subscribe and then you
Mm.
unsubscribe like 3 months
Mm.
later. You're gonna do that. You have to talk to someone inside. But we have done deals where okay, maybe 1 month, or maybe while I release the film, I can have information to that data. Also, that's the way film distributors. This is old school. I think we should have
Mm.
like a better system for that. But this is old school
Mhm.
because they are the ones who actually check how many people is coming to the cinema, how much money they make, and then film distributors check the tool. They say, okay, this tool is saying that I have to charge 10,000 for the film. And then they check the tool and they like, this says that you owe me at 10,000. And then
Mm.
they send the invoice to exhibitors. So this is the film theaters. So
Mm.
that's really old school. I mean, it should
Yeah.
be a way that money just going. I mean, that's a waterfall system,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
That's the way it starts from exhibitors and then film distributors, and then it goes down to film production that sometimes you don't see anything. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so the two tools that I remember now how it's called, it's ComScore
Hmm.
and RunTrack.
Right.
At some point they were together. I don't know if they're separated now, but this is a tool that you can use if you want to analyze and check how is the box office for your film.
Right.
This, as far as I remember, it worked only for theatrical, but
Hmm.
who knows? Maybe they have inserted also streaming and other platforms because we don't see those things on the open, but
Mm.
exist. So it is there. That's one of the tools that you can use.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that that information becomes a little bit more easy to access. Because, like you say, that's if it's expensive, it's a difficult thing to spend money on when you're putting your film together, even though it's probably worth it. Um, so, looking at that package you're putting together and thinking about casting actors, how important is it to put a recognizable face in your film?
I mean, I always hear that, and that's a way that you can sell something, and I understand. But let's look at how many films they have been done without recognized talent. So that's a all kind of like trick in the film industry for you to make more money. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna make one. You don't know if you're gonna make more money, and also you don't know investors gonna be interested in that. So
Mm.
I think as long as you have a good story, good quality marketing materials, as also the production, and then learn to sell, like, learn how to sell it, learn like you are really good at it. I'm part of a production right now. The film is from Puerto Rico. It's called Becoming Mayo, and he is a very good film film director.
Hmm.
And this is his first film, but he has like many years, like 30 years in the industry, working in a big projects. And he decided I had the opportunity to work with like good cast, like good A-list cast. and he decided to do things with Puerto Rican uh, actors and talent. So because
Mm.
he wants to attract more business into Puerto Rico and all these things. And he said the film is so good, and the film is it's good quality that I can sell it that way. So it just having the confidence of, I know I have a good story. I know people will look at it, and then I will use my connections to it. Don't be afraid of it, and it will go out there. I mean, right now looking for film distributors. He got selected in really good film festivals until now.
Hmm.
So it's like it's going there. So if you have the support, and if you know what are the next step that you need to do, then trust and do it.
Yeah, and it is a balancing act, because if you do get a name in, obviously there's a cost associated with that. So you've got to figure out not just a financial cost, but there might be sort of strings attached. There might be certain things you have to do to fulfill that arrangement. So it is worth considering how much value that is actually going to add to your film, and also depends really on the project, doesn't it? Because if you can end up stunt casting someone in something and it's really not a good fit. So it's worth sort of thinking about that properly before you approach people. Um, and then the last part of this, I guess, and it's this the bit that makes my heart sink, because it's not the bit I want to be involved in, is that financial detail, budget plan, all that kind of the money stuff and the numbers. So what what are the key elements of that? The numbers you should supply to investors, and also how important is it to get somebody else to come in, maybe like an external person who's good with numbers, or do you think a filmmaker can handle all of this stuff on their own?
I think in the beginning, you are the owner of the film, and you need to do everything.
Mm,
But hiring people that knows their stuff, it's super super important. Don't like the numbers. If you don't know your numbers well, then you need to hire someone who knows, like in this case maybe a line producer or someone who knows how to do budgets. You don't need to share all the numbers with investors and everything that you do with the finance part, but they need to trust you. So probably they will ask for reports. And something else, it's you always have like two versions. Maybe you have more, but like you have your version with the real everything that is going on there, and then you have the investors and the people and film distributors version. So you don't share everything with them. um I had another client who wanted to hire, like, okay, I need this, but if I hire this kind of people, if I have this done somewhere else that is cheap, then I will save money and then the investor will be happy. No, you cannot share those things. I mean, if you are saving money, it's good for you. You have more money to do other things in your film production, but you're not gonna go with a film investor and saying, oh, I need this, but if I do that, I need this instead. It's like,
mm,
okay, so what is a number? Like, you need to give me a number and be confident that that's a number that you want, and if I do this I go low. No, you cannot have you. And I have done that mistake myself. I mean, I
mm,
have like we start like, I don't know, 100,000, and then we end up in 50,000. But if we do this 50,000, like, hmm, I mean, obviously I didn't close the deal. I mean, he
yeah,
was too worried. Like, how come that you have come from 100,000 to 50,000? So like, I know that, and this is my experience. I want you to take it, right? Because it's like, numbers, you need to feel confident. You need to feel this is what we need. Don't go low, don't go too high, but what the work it is worth, right? Because you have a film crew, you have your team, you need to hire people, you need to pay them. It's not everything collaboration. I mean, if you pay them, they're gonna be really happy, of course, because it's a job that they need to do. And yes, talking about the numbers, maybe in the beginning you don't need to hire anyone to do the numbers and to do the bookkeeping. But if you see that the budget is growing, then you need someone. You need someone to take care of that.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right about that. You're not there to haggle with an investor because it can feel like that sometimes, and it can also be a temptation to go, wow, look, we've got all this stuff and we've got it really cheap and it's going to be cheap, and we're going to put this stuff. But you're, like you say, you're there to say, this is how much it's going to cost to make this film properly, to make a really good product that's going to go and it's going to reach its audience, and it's going to be an exciting story. So yeah, it is tempting to get into that. Well, we could do it a little bit cheaper if you've not got as much money, but it sort of damages the credibility of what you're proposing.
Exactly. You
Um,
just put it like in a very good way. You damage the credibility of making a film in a certain budget, so that you're
mm,
doubting yourself.
mm. And this is a discussion for another time, but I'll ask you the question anyway because it's popped into my head. And I know this is more about sales and distribution, and I'm on the fence on this one, especially with micro and low budget. But would you tell a distributor or a sales agent how much your film cost to make? Would you always give them that it was this much, it cost this much to make? Do you disclose that information?
I mean, you have to. You kind of like you kind of have to be very honest with them. Like, how much was it? The thing is that sometimes you are not taking into account all the hours that you have put into it. You
Mm,
haven't put the collaborations that you have made. It's like, oh, it was really cheap. It was 10,000. Yes, but all 100 hours that you have put into it, like the other people, the cameramen and your friends that actually collaborated, it wasn't free. So if
mm,
you are, just think about when you're making the budget and then saying, and then saying, okay, I put into it 100 hours. How much would I charge for those 100 hours if someone else will hire me, or how much they pay? And then you have to put it on the budget, because that's part of the budget. If you do that, probably your film is not going to be as cheap as you think.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's a good answer. So I think as a filmmaker, I agree, is work out how much it would have cost if you spent money on everything. I'm talking about the micro level here, I think. And then that is your budget. And also you've got to sort of stick to that. That's how much the budget is. Because I know, again, a little bit like this, negotiating with investors, you can be tempted almost to show off how cheaply you've achieved this film. But all it does is it kind of undermines what you've managed to do when you've made that film.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
something that you mentioned, that is a micro independent film.
Mm.
But the way production companies in the range of independent make money, it's actually charging for commissions and charging for like renting equipment.
Mm.
So, for example, in Europe, you have all these incentives and you have the funds and grants, and when you apply for that fund or that grant, you you have a budget, and then you have a fee for the production company. So you kind of like, maybe you don't have the fee, but maybe you rent the equipment. You have the film producer. You have, and then that's the way they make money. Like, interesting enough. So like, actually putting those hours is not. I mean, you're not making any crime. I mean, that's the way it works.
Yeah, yeah. Good point. Good point. Well, there are lots of really good tips there, and I understand you're going to give us a template, packaging your film checklist. Is that right?
Yes, I have a template where you can go to my blog, and actually Jim have the link. And it's a PDF where you can check all the things that you need to have in order for you to go out and ask for money. But before that, it's like, these are the documents and these are the strategies that you need to have in place before you do that. So yeah,
Brilliant.
that it's available for you.
Brilliant. Awesome. I'll put a link to that in the description. Just leaves me to say thank you, Rosa, for joining us today. That was all super insightful information. Um, we'll be back with another episode. We're going to do some more of these because I think there's lots of different things we can interrogate. But for now, thanks a lot for listening. And please do subscribe for more tips from people who are working out in the industry at the moment and indie filmmaking tips. Thanks for listening.